What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 12 Games of Christmas presented by the Unlockables podcast. As always, I am your host. My name is Eric. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to what I am billing as my end of the year, game of the year celebration of all things video games and Unlockables in the year 2022. So just a brief explanation before we get started. I wanted to talk about my 12 favorite gaming experiences of the year and tie it into the Christmas holiday. So I decided to do the 12 Games of Christmas, where I will talk about one of my favorite gaming experiences every day from December 12th to December 24th. That's right. It's a Christmas miracle. You're getting 12 days of content from me in a row, which is more than anybody probably needs in their entire life. So look forward to that. We'll be starting it off tonight. And I wanted to include some people that have made the Unlockables this year, specifically in 2022, one of the most incredible years of any kind of content creation I've ever tried to do. So I put out the call a couple months ago, wanted some people to come on for a specific list of games. And a lot of people answered the call. I'm very, very grateful for that, for sure. So today we're going to be kicking it off. And I couldn't think of anybody better to kick off 12 Games of Christmas to me than one of my closest podcasting friends and buddies. He was the third ever guest and third episode ever on Unlockables, I believe. He is making a list, checking it twice, gonna find out if you're naughty or nice. It is my good friend, Dave Jackson from Tales from the Backlog. Dave, how you doing today, sir?
Doing good, man. Thanks so much for having me on here. I'm excited for this.
I'm excited you decided to come on, and hopefully this will blunt the fact that people are going to be hearing my voice for 12 days in a row, that the fact that somebody else is included on this. So thank you so much. Like I said, you were the guest on the third episode, I believe, second or third episode. I'll have to go back and check. Somebody will, I'm sure, yell at me for that for sure. But when I said I wanted to do Unlockables, you jumped at the chance. So thank you so much for making this year incredible, even though we're not quite at the anniversary yet. But thank you for being a part of the project, and thank you for wanting to come back on.
Of course, man. Anytime. Always up to talk to you.
And since this is a little secret, I'm letting in everybody who doesn't do podcasts, if you happen to come across this. Podcasters only talk to each other in the form of creating content with one another. So Dave and I only talk to each other when we do podcasts. We don't talk to each other on any other type of medium at all, unless it's being recorded. So Dave, I just wanted to ask you, how have things for Tales from the Backlog been this year?
Yeah, so when we talked on the Unlockables episode, Tales from the Backlog was still pretty young. Like, what month was that when Unlockables was in its first month or so?
So February was the initial launch. So it had been February or March. So it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it does, for sure. I've moved 4 times since then.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so since that Unlockables episode, Tales from the Backlog has been like really hitting the groove. And by the time people hear this, we're past the 1-year anniversary of Tales from the Backlog. Past, game number 50 on Tales from the Backlog by the time people hear this. So yeah, things have been moving. I'm having a great time. Like you've alluded to, like meeting lots of podcasters and, quote, air quote, only talking to them when it's being recorded about how things are going. Yeah, I've met so many cool people. Like, for people listening, Eric's been on Tales from the Backlog twice this year. I want to say twice. Metroid Dread, Undertale. Yeah. So it's been great. Like, I was having a blast doing it when I talked to you last time, and I'm still having a blast. It's great.
I'm glad things have not changed that drastically from last time we talked, but no, that's good. And it's been a real, we both release our shows on Wednesday. And so Wednesday is really like the premiere day for podcasting, if I do say so myself. But,
Wednesdays are just the best days. Like we say every time when we see each other sharing the episodes and all the places that we share. Wednesdays are the best days. We got me, we got you, we got bits of time, we got deleted saves, we got so much cool stuff coming on Wednesdays.
Is wild. It's like we see each other, like basically we post right after each other in the Discords. It's like the Umbrella Academy meme when they're passing each other in the cars, like looking at each other.
Yeah,
every time what it is.
Or It's Always Sunny, me, Mac, and Charlie looking at each other from across the restaurants every Wednesday morning.
Exactly. But no, it's been really cool. I mean, I had a show and then yours started and then my first show ended and then I started Unlockables. So we've really kind of gotten to grow up with each other. So I couldn't think of anybody better to ask to kick this off, which we probably should, because I haven't even mentioned the game that we're talking about. And you agreed to come on and talk about the first game I wanted to talk about for 12 Games of Christmas. And of course, that game is none other than Stray. Stray, otherwise known by its Christian name Cat Game, was developed by Blue 12 Studio, published by Annapurna Interactive, released on July 19th, 2022. Having a Metacritic rating sitting currently around 83, 10 out of 10 on Steam, 9 out of 10 on GameSpot, and 8 out of 10 on IGN. Christmas meter rating, I gave it a 4 out of 10 candy canes because there are Christmas lights in this game. But other than that, not too much. But when I saw them, I was like, oh, that could be kind of Christmas. I don't know if I'm stretching it or not, but not really anything else to do with Christmas other than lights.
It's not a super festive game. Unless you associate Christmas with cats for some reason, it's not very Christmassy.
Or I was going to say, unless you associate it with like the impending doom of all humanity also. But which maybe some people do if that's the kind of festivities you get into. I'm not going to judge you. But,
that's one thing I think they left out of the game. Of all the cat things you can do, is there's no Christmas tree that you can systematically destroy in this game.
100%. My sister has 3 cats, and every Christmas she just sends me a picture of like all of them just chilling in the tree. And I'm just like, yeah. That seems like a disaster waiting to happen, which is why I am a dog person. But not for this game.
Not that dogs leave Christmas trees alone at all, but yeah.
No. They at least don't have the like noodle body capacity to climb into them for the most part.
Yeah. Yep.
Because my dogs are like 70 pounds and they just knock them over. But anyways, Stray kind of burst onto the scene. I know that pretty much everybody in our podcasting group kind of had their eyes on this one as soon as it hit. I believe the debut trailer was like at E3 a couple years ago. And we were all like, as soon as that happened, we were just like, oh yeah, cat game. That looks like it's going to rule. Like, how many opportunities in video games do you get to be a cat? Not many. And that was kind of the drawing force for when this game came out. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was on it. So, Dave, I just want to kind of ask you, because we both played it. We both did episodes on it. What was your brief experience playing Stray in 2022?
Yeah, so I missed the E3, like the initial E3 trailer, and I kind of caught the hype just a couple months before it was about to come out. And I think a big part for me was that I was one of those people who paid for PS Now. I was one of like the 5 people in the United States that paid for it and really enjoyed it. And so when it switched over to the new PS Plus system, I had like the highest tier because I got grandfathered in. And Stray was one of the only day one drops on PS Plus. So that was like, had it not been that, I would have waited to see what it was all about. And then like, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but like this was like one of the games of the moment for 2022. So like I would have probably looked it up and thought about playing it even more. But the fact that it was there day one, and you get to play as a cat and all the trailers look super cute, I was like, yeah, why not? Like, I literally nothing to lose here. I have already paid for it. It's not free, but I already did pay for it. So yeah, why not? And I like I downloaded it on day one. I bought a nice new monitor to play games on when I moved to the United States because I couldn't bring my big TV from Korea, and my monitor died like halfway through playing Stray, so I had to take a little break while I figured that situation out. And after that, I got it back up and running, had a great time with it, and I'm sure we'll talk about this too. But it's just like a short, sweet little experience. It doesn't outstay its welcome, and that kind of led to me just having really just a super pleasant time with it. How about you, man?
Yeah, I agree. I'd actually had my eye on this for a while because I saw the debut trailer. Whether it was at E3 or whatever kind of show. There's too many showcases now to differentiate between them, and they all just kind of blend together. I just know that this one didn't have the horror of Miyamoto coming on screen and not knowing what happens after that. So, but yeah, as soon as I saw this, and the premise was they're like, yeah, we're gonna let you play as a cat. I think I was instantly hooked because despite so many video games having been played throughout my life, I can't ever remember an instance where they were just like, yeah, we made an anthropomorphic animal for you to just play as.
Yeah.
Here you go and play as it. So
yeah, this game got people talking about Tokyo Jungle again for a second, which is a game that I had always like, it was on PS Now. So I had like tried it out a few times. And after I finished Stray, I played it a little bit more. And that's another game where you can play as animals. It is significantly less cute and lovable than Stray is, though. It's a lot of like just savagery going on in that game.
Yeah, I would say the only kind of instance I've ever like remembered as playing as an animal is always either it's been like a companion, like a horse you're riding, or some kind of steed or mount or something like that, or it's a companion with you, a la dog meat from Fallout 4, or like Spyro the Dragon would be like a four-legged creature you play as. It's not a cat, but
you've got your Nintendogs and stuff like that too. Yeah.
rip in peace to all the Nintendogs left on the DS cartridges over the years.
Oh no, Eric.
Oh, this got dark real fast. It's supposed to be Christmas. It's supposed to be happy, but no. And so that was kind of my experience with it. And then obviously meeting my wife, marrying her, she's like, oh, hey, this cat game looks cool because she used to have cats before I came along. And that sounded really ominous.
That sounded like you're responsible for the fact that she doesn't have cats.
Background on that: I am severely allergic to cats. Okay, so when I had to move in, someone from our family had to take them because I first night I ever was over at our house, like visiting for dinner and stuff. I was just sitting on the couch, literally dying because the cats were like, "Hey, this person's allergic." let's just go sit directly on him. And
they sensed weakness. Yeah,
they do. And they take advantage of it. And so at the time she was like, hey, here's like 4 Benadryl, take them. And I was like, cool. And then 5 minutes later I was unconscious on the couch. So yeah, that's my story with cats.
Good first impression. Yeah.
Yeah. And 2 years later we got married. So
there you go. Dating tips from the Unlockables.
Yeah. Find somebody who has something that you're allergic to and then just have them like drug you with allergy medicine and it works out.
Every
100%.
time.
So, and that was kind of my experience. And she saw it. She was like, hey, I want to play this. So it was something that we actually got to download and kind of play together. So that was cool. I wanted to ask you specifically, since we can kind of talk about, since this is an end of the year celebration, this is leading up to my reveal of the game of the year and all its pomp and circumstance. What did you think specifically, or why should we be talking about this game at the end of the year?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned it before, but this was one of those games of the moment for 2022. Like when you look back at 2022 and think about the games that kind of dominated the conversation, whether it's for 2 weeks or like several months, like Elden Ring did. Yeah. Or, The Last of Us remake and stuff like that. This was probably one of the 12 that dominated conversation for long enough to be considered one of those games of the year. So if you're putting together 12 games that kind of took over, I feel like this is a worthy entry in that.
Yeah, that was really one of my reasons why I wanted to talk about it, because it seemed at the time that first part of the year was such a whirlwind. We got Pokemon Legends Arceus, we got Forbidden West, we got Elden Ring, like all right back to back to back. So, and then I'm sure some stuff came out in April or May that I can't remember. But anyways, it's after that initial whirlwind of the month, and then it's those 3 months, and then it seemed like after that, everything's been delayed till 2023 now. This game kind of came out at like the perfect time. It was kind of like a lull and everything. Nothing was really going on. It was kind of like the middle of summer. We were waiting for all these showcases to kind of show us, hey, what's coming next? Since literally everything's been delayed till next year. And I think that was just in the middle of literally everything going on, Activision Blizzard getting purchased by Microsoft and all these big games and Elden Ring just taking over. And then personal things in my life. I started renovating my house. I got married in February. It was really something that was like a calm spot in the middle of life. I was able to just sit down and just be like, hey, like this is a relaxing game. And it really too, this game is not terribly stressful to play. There are a couple moments where things are just kind of like, oh, like you can definitely die or definitely get cornered and stuff like that. And it adds a little bit of stress, but mostly it's a pretty relaxing experience. And that's kind of what made it stick out for me in the middle of, finishing Legends Arceus and finishing Forbidden West and going on my insane quest with Kingdom Hearts. This was just a game that I could come home to and relax at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's kind of the same thing for me. Like this game came out in, I want to say like early July, something like that. July 19th. Yeah. We wrote it on here. And that was just like after I had just moved to the United States from Korea. And I was like finally feeling settled and not quite totally settled because we weren't living in our like actual house. We were staying with my parents, but like I was feeling a little bit more settled. And then you're right. No new games coming out. Easy to just kind of say, oh, this new game dropped. It's like I said, it's on PS Plus. I already have it. Why not? Just give it a shot.
I believe, didn't you just get done doing your marathon month of Elden Ring that month too, I believe?
That was
the month. Was that June?
Well, yeah, that was the month when Tales from the Backlog was all Elden Ring episodes. But my process. I recorded those months before that, so
you don't have to let people into that. You can just say, "Hey, you recorded all that," and then so that's fine.
But podcasters record your episodes in advance. It's good for you.
I won't let them know that that's exactly what I don't do because I am totally, completely unorganized. But anyways, we're recording this on December 11th, believe it or not. I'm recording all 12 episodes the day before they're due.
Eric just got done with his Christmas shopping right before we started recording.
I can feel the credit card debt rolling in already. That's for sure. But yeah, same thing. So it sounded like, you had a big experience. I had a big experience this year. So it's just kind of like a calming presence in the middle of the year. Something I've really liked was a conversation that we got into, and a couple of people mentioned it in, I'm really sorry about forgetting the name of the Discord, but it was the Discord set up by Liv from Between Two Gamers. And
the co-op network.
The co-op network. Thank you. So there's so many Discord servers, man.
Yeah.
So many Discord servers. But there's a conversation when it came out about how people were talking about the cat character specifically, where this, not to spoil the story, but the cat is kind of like the vessel by which you experience the story. The story doesn't really directly happen or affect the cat. And at least in my opinion, you're helping a robot called B12 kind of figure out what happened, why everybody's trapped underground. And that's kind of the most I'll say about that, to not tread into spoiler territory. But I couldn't help but realize how great a job they did modeling the cat and making this cat feel like an actual cat. Not to, here's a Christmas drinking game. Get eggnog, take a shot every time I say cat. And you'll be feeling pretty good by the end of this episode. But there's so many times in the game where like the cat would like fall from a long distance and be limping, or, there are sequences where you can like die and fail a chase sequence or get chased by robots and they can zap you. And this creature, this avatar that you're playing as the player, really felt fragile. It really felt like something that you had to be careful with. Whereas that's not really a normal experience in video games. We're used to like having an avatar where we can like level up and gain experience and gain new items and have this feeling of kind of progressing in power as we go through the game. And this was really not that. They're very early established that you're like, hey, you're a cat. You're going to be a cat for the whole experience. And that's what you're going to get. You get a couple tools here and there that kind of alter the play experience, but they're taken away from you as soon as you get comfortable. So I really liked that aspect of the game. Yeah,
it's the main thing I took away from it was this feeling that like they had their storyboard and the plot moments they wanted you to move through, the environments they wanted you to move through, the situations that they wanted you to find yourself in. And at every one of those points, they thought, what would a cat do? How would a cat react to what's happening? And so you get those situations where like the little drone buddy comes to life and just spooks the cat, and he pops up in the air like cats do when they get spooked.
Right.
And or coming across something unfamiliar and the cat is curious, it like paws at it and swats at it like cats do when they're trying to figure out what something is. And it just really felt like, every new situation, their first question was, what would a cat do here? And then whatever it is, they took a lot of time animating and everything like that to make it look and feel cat-like. And it's like, of all the things that this game does well, which there are more things that I think it does well, I think that's number one, though, is like, you were promised a game where you're playing as a cat, and that's what you got. You got all the range of cat stuff.
It didn't really take us off the beaten path. It didn't give the cat a giant sword to wield that's too big for itself. No. It didn't make the cat fight God at the end of it. There's no kind of unexpected plot twists like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that experience. That it was pretty much exactly, they delivered on what they set out to do, which I don't think is something that a lot of game developers can say nowadays, because, a lot of people, especially giant AAA games, are beholden to the bottom line so much. It's like, hey, you got to have something in this that makes it replayable, that makes it worth $70, that can monetize it a little more. That
be microtransactioned. Yeah,
exactly. And it's very rare nowadays to get kind of these curated experience that is exactly what was promised and pretty much exactly what you want. And well, I think there are points that, and there's criticism with any game. There's criticisms of all 12 of these games on this list for sure. There are points where I feel like it didn't quite deliver. The end of the story kind of left me felt a little bit underwhelmed.
Yeah,
I think it definitely succeeds in more points than it fails, for sure. And I think that's the hallmark of a good game. Even my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy IX, Kingdom Hearts, I have things about those games that I do not like, that I think are really stupid. But just because we love something and something is great doesn't mean it can't also have flaws. And like you said, it delivers a curated cat experience, probably the most authentic cat experience that anyone has ever created.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to see if they're going to continue this and do something more with it, because you get a resolution at the end of the story, but I don't feel like you get a full resolution at the end of the story.
Not the resolution that you think you're going to get, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wanted to touch on something, like, I'm glad we're talking about this game, because as we move away from that like initial 2 or 3 weeks when it was like Stray Mania, now we get people who play Stray for the first time in later months, right? And all they've been exposed to is the hype wave. And when games get this popular, we go through this cycle of like initial like super hype, and then we're in like the pushback where people like, actually this isn't that good.
Right.
And for Stray in particular, I feel like this game, the hype got bigger than this game actually set out to ever be.
Right.
So like this, at its heart, this is a very, very simple game. It's attempting to do a very simple thing, which is to let you control a cat that acts like a cat and give you some beautiful environments to look at. And it's, telling a story. We might talk about that. But like the number one thing is the cat. And when a game gets so big that it like transcends people that play video games and stuff, like there were people who were like, don't play a lot of video games, but want to play Stray because you get to play as a cat, and everyone's talking about it. And we start to get to the point where it's so big that now people think that the game is trying to be more than that when it never was. Right. And so some people have started to play it and been disappointed by it because the hype outgrew what the game actually is, in my opinion. And it's a really interesting thing for a game like this. Like, you want to talk about Elden Ring or Horizon or The Last of Us Part 1 hype and pushback. People have opinions about those games. Those are huge games attempting lots of complicated things, right? I don't feel like Stray is really attempting that. And I feel like that's kind of gotten lost in all the hype and all the attention this game got.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It almost became this thing where people are like, well, I got to play the cat, but that's it? And it's like, they literally told you what the game was going to be about. Yeah. It's like, you were going to have this very curated cat experience, and that was going to be it.
And I want to be clear, like, for a lot of people, it's not their fault that they feel like they've been misled about what the game is by people like us, who like every podcast had a Stray episode come out or Stray first impressions, because everyone was playing it. Or at the very least, everyone was sharing their clips on Twitter and stuff like that. So it's not always those people's fault that they go into it with expectations that are bigger than maybe we did when we played it right when it first came out, but it is something that I've noticed.
We were kind of, to harken back to one of your episodes a couple months ago, we were kind of on also the flip side of that coin as well when we played Undertale, because when we talked about on your Undertale episode, you and I played that much later in life, like 5 years removed from the multiple ups and downs of hate and love that game got.
Yeah.
So in this instance, we're actually on the other side of this. We're
that's
on
true.
where it's like when it first came out. So that's interesting. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to the episodes of people that play it. Oh, it's a year or two removed, like, and then they play it now. What do they think about it then?
Yeah.
But I think if you go into it with the mindset that you're getting this very curated experience, we've been so spoiled by how advanced and how incredible video game storytelling has got that I feel like our expectations are always so high. Like something crazy has to happen, or like the cat has to like go Super Saiyan and like fight the robot hordes, or like, enter the Matrix or something. And that doesn't have to always happen. I'll be the first one to tell you, I love a super compelling, complicated, giant ass confusing story. Just look at my Kingdom Hearts series that I'm doing.
I mean, you're the man for that.
But there's something special about having just this very small curated experience of something that was, hey, this is what they promised, and they pretty much delivered on it. And it doesn't ever I felt like the length of time you spent in that game was perfect. I think I beat it in about 5-6 hours. Yeah. I felt like that was the perfect length. If this got to be like 10, 15 hours, I'd probably be like, okay, this is a little bit long, but it definitely doesn't overstay its welcome.
I think this game is just about the perfect length, because like controlling the cat and interacting with the world in the ways that they've set up for you, it's like you get interaction prompts to do a lot of these cat things, right? It's not like this isn't an immersive sim where you have things that you can interact with because they're like woven into like game systems. It's kind of like, you see a paint can on a ledge, you'll get a thing that says push it, right? So
it's not GTA 5 Cat Edition,
right? So it's like it set out to do those things, and I think that they wanted to tell a story that didn't quite get there. Eventually, like the story was kind of a letdown, kind of scrambled from time to time. But because it's like a 5-hour game, I never got to the point where that cat stuff started to get old. And by the time I was thinking like, I don't really love this story, the game was ending. Like literally I was in like the last room before the ending. And I've said this like in, all the Discords where we talk about games and stuff. Had this game been an hour longer, I would have started to feel that, but it wasn't. It was like they ended it right at the perfect time.
It's almost like they knew what they had, and they were just like, we've done what we wanted to, like, let's just end it.
Yeah. The cat stuff can't sustain an entire game by itself. And like, I said it before, this game's beautiful too. Like the environments that you're in are incredibly like colorful. There's a lot of like visual design that's gone into all these places. So it's a joy to look at too. But that stuff can't sustain, a 20 or 30 hour game. And they knew that. And they're working with a really limited scope. And I think that they ended it right when they should have.
Agreed. In an era where we're getting these humongous ass games that take hundreds of hours to play, that just have icons splooged all over the map that you can really experience for as long as you want. I think it's incredibly rare and something we should appreciate, a shorter, more truncated experience that is just exactly what was delivered, exactly what was promised. And the controversy kind of rose up about this too, where it was like, oh, this game's only 5 or 6 hours. It's not worth $30. I personally bought it at full price. I thought it was worth $30. I know you got it on PlayStation now. My counter argument to that is like, you're willing to spend like $100 going out to like eat for an hour, or like sitting in a movie theater, or like for 2 hours. Like, why is this not an experience worth $30? I think it was worth $30, and I would pay $30 every time for something like this.
Yeah. Whenever I start to think about dollars per hour as it relates to like the value of a game, and I try not to think about it, but it is I mean, it does creep into your head. Like if you're going to
Yeah.
pay $60-$70 for a game that's not very long, then you have to start thinking about like value of that, because $70 is, it's a lot of money to spend on something for entertainment. Video games are so fucking expensive as a hobby.
Yeah.
That like you do have to think about that stuff. But the movie analogy really works for me, because I enjoy video games more than I enjoy movies, and
Right.
I will happily go spend $20 per person at a movie theater buying tickets and snacks and stuff for what I hope to be an hour and a half. Now movies are never an hour and a half anymore, but
You're lucky if they're
something
2.5
that.
hours.
Yeah. I'll spend that money for that. So why wouldn't I spend that same money on a video game that's going to bring me the same amount of happiness?
I agree. And if you need further convincing, let me just posit this to you. Skull and Bones is going to be $70 when it comes out. So just let that sink into your mind. So if you want to talk about video game value, that game was supposed to come out 8 years ago, and it's going to be $70. So
that game's going to be $170 by the time it comes out.
It's going to be $70, and they're going to want you to buy like skins and shit in it. So that's the funny part. So
yeah, that's the other thing with like these indie games. Is like the $70 full price games those are like the AAA games for the most part. And so full price for Stray is $30, right?
Right. That's where I bought it at. I'm sure it'll be on sale bunch.
I think it was 30, and it's Annapurna, right? So it's going to go on sale. It'll be pretty cheap. Maybe even by the time you hear this, you'll be able to get it half off or something like that. But like those full price versus value arguments don't really pertain to a lot of indie games, because most indie games are never over $30 to begin with.
Right. And most of the time indie games go on sale like crazy.
Yeah.
You can check the eShop like every other day, and there's a plethora of indie games that are on sale. So your money argument is stupid, basically. And saying this right in the middle of Christmas when it's the peak of spending all things money.
Now
so go
we're
check it out.
getting into the Christmas spirit, Eric.
Yes. Bah humbug. Capitalism ruins everything. No, I'm just kidding. Not to start revolution on this podcast. But yeah, so I think if we pretty much haven't covered it already, that's a good time period. I'm going to have to keep these short because you won't want to listen to me for hours.
Yeah.
For 12 days in a row. But I think Dave and I laid out the case pretty well as to why this should be one of the best games that should be talked about at the end of this year. And I think we both personally think that this game is worth your time playing. If you have like 5 or 6 hours, if you're looking for something a shorter experience to play, I would definitely pick up Stray.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I didn't mention the sound design earlier either, but I think the sound design is really, really good because you're doing a bunch of cat stuff like pushing bottles off of ledges, and those bottles, when they fall, they have really satisfying sounds. They really thought about all that stuff too. And it really adds to the cat experience and why
it does.
It's a super easy recommendation. Unless you like, I mean, I'm not like a huge cat person. I haven't had a cat since I was a little kid. I'm a dog person too. But I loved playing as a cat because I think cats are funny. And this game does have a bunch of really funny moments with the cat.
I'm a big sucker for atmosphere, and everything about the sound design goes to establishing an incredible atmosphere and goes towards enhancing your experience as a cat. Mm-hmm. Press O to meow is the best. That's the best use of any kind of verb, any kind of button.
You get a trophy for meowing 100 times. You get a trophy for taking a nap for an hour, I want to say. They really, all the way through the trophies, they thought about what are cats up to? They're making a bunch of noise or they're asleep.
Right. It's chaos or nothing. There's no in between. But yeah, go play Stray. It's definitely worth it. One of the 12 best games of the year. In my opinion, is it my game of the year? You'll just have to wait and find out. But Dave, thank you so much for coming on and talking with me for a little bit, my man. I really appreciate it. Would you like to quickly shill your things for Christmas before you leave?
Yes, I would. So Tales from the Backlog is my video games podcast. It's a deep dive on games with no spoilers for the first like half, 2/3 of every episode. So, and then a spoiler section at the end for people who've played. So even if you haven't played a game, you can listen to every episode of Tales from the Backlog, find out what makes that game special. And then we save the spoiler stuff for later. If you want a good place to start, like I mentioned, if you're listening to this, you obviously love Eric very much. So Metroid Dread and Undertale were 2 episodes that Eric guested on. I think those are both really good episodes. That's Tales from the Backlog. I also have another show called A Top 3 Podcast where we do top 3 lists about everything, not sometimes video games, but most often food and stuff like that. So those are my 2 things. I'm going to have some Game of the Year content at the end of the year. Certainly not 12 days of Game of the Year content, but I will have something, and I feel like Stray will probably be represented on that episode too. So yeah, that's my stuff. Eric, thank you so much, man. It's always a blast talking with you. We've only been recording for like 40 minutes. Like whenever I talk to you on my show, we have 2 more hours to go. I don't know what to do, man.
This is very strange. You have the whole night ahead of you.
I know, right? Yeah.
Go and be productive or do something. Yeah. I don't know what to do with my hands, but
yeah. I appreciate you, man. This has been real fun.
No problem. And just to back up what you said, a top 3 and Tales from the Backlog are both in my weekly rotation every single week. I cannot, if I don't listen to Tales from the Backlog on Wednesday, I feel lost. I don't know what to do with my life. Yeah, it's like something's not right here. So,
yeah.
But Dave, thank you so much for coming on and going along with this crazy experience. Thank you for being part of the first year of the Unlockables. Hopefully, the first of many, many years to come.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Definitely be on the lookout for Dave. I'm definitely gonna trick him to come back on the show sometime in the near future again.
There's no tricking involved. Open invitation, my dude.
Just Reese's Pieces all the way down the hallway. It's
okay, that works too. Yeah.
But thank you again, and to everybody out there, have a merry, merry Catmas.